afternoon. It's the Pit Stop, your weekly racing show focusing on IndyCar and NASCAR racing specifically. We touch on some other racing styles out there from time to time. I'm Stephen McCollum, and we look back at racing last weekend, the news around the sport of racing. Of course, we look ahead to this weekend in racing as well. And we're getting closer to the chase in terms of NASCAR circles here this weekend. And then also getting closer to a champion here on the IndyCar side of things. We'll talk about all of that coming up as well. You can watch the show on demand on YouTube. Just go to TME Media AZ or just search for the Pit Stop with Steven. It comes right up for you. As well, our media page is that TME Media AZ. You can find us over on Rumble as well. For those of you that prefer Rumble, rumble.com/user/TME Media. It pops up there. All of our programming pops up there as well. Of course, favorite podcast systems. For those of you that would rather see the audio podcast, just go to Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, Podchaser. I'm just making them up at this point, right? Check it out. Just search the Pit Stop with Steven or search the Pit Stop Talk, and it'll come right up for you as well. Don't forget to follow the show on X. The Pit Stop Talk is where you can find us there. Join the conversation with us. We'd greatly appreciate it. Now, last week, IndyCar was at Portland for that street race. NASCAR was at Iowa Speedway for the O'Reilly and the Cup Series. And before we can look ahead or talk about the news, we got to look back at last weekend. So let's get into it. And we'll start with IndyCar here as well. And it's pretty simple. Stop me if you've heard it before, because it's always been what we talk about a lot. Alex Palou wins the IndyCar race over at Portland. Now, he tied John Cox, his career IndyCar Series race victories. Well, it's been tied there by Alex Palou at 25 wins. Palou won his sixth race of the season on Sunday there in Portland, and that earned him a tie with Mario Andretti, Sebastian Bourdais, as drivers with at least 6 victories in consecutive seasons on the IndyCar circuit. Now, the interesting thing is Palou does 5 more races remaining this season to obviously break that record and increase that record there as well and surpass, where he's tied it up here as well and move up and tie the next gentleman on the record level that he's looking at in terms of entire weekends coming up. Now, the interesting thing is he still has his best racetrack ahead of him still. Laguna Seca coming up. That's now the site of the IndyCar season-ending race. It's coming up on September 6th. He's won each of the past 2 races over there in Monterey. He's won 3 of the past 4 as well. So a lot of people are writing him in. He's obviously going to continue his winning streak. And we have a couple unknown races coming up here. We'll talk about this weekend later in the show. And then next weekend in D.C., 2 unknown tracks coming up. So we'll see how much he can win remaining here in the season as well. So Alex Palou led 60 of the 110 laps. He started in the second spot in this race to get his 3rd career victory here in Portland. Now, he did pass pole sitter Felix Rosenqvist by going a lap longer in his first segment. Then after that, he controlled the field at that point. He drove away from everybody else. Now, he wasn't really threatened. Yes, some guys would get up close to him, but it wasn't really a threatened deal here of him not winning this race. It was another Alex Palou kind of dominant performance there by him. Let's throw up Indy 1 here, the finish order here in this race. We do the top 15 on our list here. Alex Palou, of course, in first there. As I said, led 60 of those laps there. Felix Rosenqvist does finish second after being passed by Alex Palou. Then you got Will Power, right? And doesn't have too many finishes like this, Will Power, but he does get up there and get that 3rd place finish. Remus VK, nice finish for him, 4th. We'll talk about that coming up here in a minute. We do have a little words on him, a little blurb on his run there, but 4th place. Kyle Kirkwood finished 5th. Marcus Ericsson in 6th. Scott McLaughlin in 7th. I told you he was a launch shot here in Team Penske. Last week's show, finished in 7th place for him. Josef Newgarden in 8th. Christian Lundgaard in 9th. Kiffin Simpson there finishes out the top 10. Then you got Pato O'Ward, who I said had a chance to win this. I thought he would be on the podium. Didn't get there with that 11th finish, but my pick to win it, David Malakis, finished 12th there at Portland in this race as well for him. Let's throw up the championship points here for IndyCar, Indy 2 after the Portland race. And yes, folks, you can see a 110-point lead here for Alex Palou in this championship point level. Yeah, big number here through 13 races for him as a leader. That's an advantage of more than 2 races with 5 races to go, which basically means Kyle Cookwood, he's going to have to chip away for that 110 point. He's going to have 2 good finishes or 3 good finishes, and Alex Palou's got to have some not good finishes to get back into this on well, which basically means Alex Palou is on his way to becoming only the second driver in history to earn 4 consecutive IndyCar Series titles. Yeah, Bourdais was the first one from 2004 to 2007. This would be Alex Palou's 5th title overall. Only A.J. Foyt and Scott Dixon. A.J. Foyt has 7 championships, Scott Dixon has 6. They're the only ones that have more than Alex Palou does on the IndyCar circuit as well. Now, we could talk Alex Palou, well, of course, David Malakis, Christian Lundgaard there, Pato O'Ward, the standard operating order here for them in this side. Now, there is a lot of parity in IndyCar. It's just not at the top with Alex Palou here moving forward. Now, there's other things to talk about. We could talk about the domination of Alex and his team and what they've done this season and every season. But there's other guys to talk about, right? Rosenqvist finished second here in this race. He continued his strong season. Of course, he's with Meyer Shank Racing. And he scored his 5th top 8 performance in the past 7 races. It was his 2nd pole of the year. Yeah. And he led his 7th race of the season, this time for 33 laps, which was 2nd most in this race behind Alex Palou there as well. Felix Rosenqvist having a good season there as well. As I said, Will Power in the 3rd spot, kind of a shocker for the way his season's gone. He is getting better as the season's going on. He's had up and down flows where he has finished well, and then other times, not doing well, but it was a disaster start to the season. I don't want to use the word terrible because it was a disaster start, but he's continued to make progress in his first year with Andretti Global. That's right. Yeah. Yes, he did miss the call for pit for the final time in this race. Only 11th in the standings overall in terms of the championship points, but obviously a 3rd place finish, his 2nd in the past 4 races, his 3rd of the season. And as the way he started this season, that's a win there for Will Power and that team. Rinus VeeKay, we talked about him finishing in the top 5 there in that 4th spot. Well, another impressive weekend for his team. Junko's Hollinger Racing is who he races for. There's a 4th place finish, and it was his 3rd in the past 5 races. He's silently and solidly in the top 10 in the standings. 9 points behind actually Andretti Global's Marcus Ericsson for 9th place. VeeKay has never finished this season higher than 12th in points, and he's threatening to do that now, right? And the team's top finishing driver in the season was Callum Lott. Back in 2023, he finished 16th in that year as well. Solid season there for that team out there as well. And then there's Kyle Kirkwood. He's moved up into that 2nd place in the standings with that 5th place finish for him. And David Malakis, he finished 12th in this race, which allowed them to switch on the standings. They'll be separated by 8 points heading into this weekend's race up there at Markham outside of Toronto. And we'll talk more about that coming up. But this has some unknowns because even though they've raced in Toronto a lot, well, this is the inaugural street race in Ontario this weekend. Some serious questions coming into this Ontario race. 5 of Cookwood's 6 career series race wins have come on street circuits. Now, Malakis, he's seeking his first series victory overall. A lot of podiums for him this year. Not a victory as well. Yes. Now, Malakis gosh, who were we just talking about there? I just forgot who it was. I had my brain fart there. Kyle Kirkwood and Malakis. Thank you very much, Stephen. Sometimes you just have days, right? Well, they finished 1 and 2 in the 2021 Indy season between those 2 teams. And it's just trying to find, at this point, we're trying to find some things to talk about besides Alex Palou's next championship that he's going to wrap up here probably in the next 3-4 weeks as we look at this IndyCar season. Now, this weekend, what's coming up outside of Toronto here with the Markham race, We'll look ahead to this weekend and this new inaugural racetrack coming up later in the show when we do our look ahead segment out there. But we got to talk about last weekend's racing in the NASCAR circuit, the O'Reilly and Cup Series at Iowa Speedway. Truck Series was off. And at Iowa last week, going into this Iowa race, I asked if winning your first career race in the O'Reilly Series would actually propel you to win more races. Well, we got our answer. It took 2 overtimes, but we got our answer there at Iowa Speedway. Carson Kvapil wins in back-to-back races. He won at the Indy race there at Indianapolis Motor Speedway last time the O'Reilly Series was on the track. Gets the win again here also this weekend at Iowa Speedway. He's got some serious momentum going forward for him and his teams. And so he grabbed the lead from Ross Chastain on the first overtime restart in the Saturday's race. Kvapil held the top spot through the second extra period. There's an 8-car wreck in turn 2 on that lap 252. That wreck took out a handful of potential contenders and allowed Carson Kvapil to keep that lead and ultimately get the win. If you remember, Carson Kvapil was winless in his first 63 O'Reilly Series starts, and now he's remade himself into a championship contender here coming up. Just one race remaining in the regular season with these 2 victories. He's getting hot with momentum at just the right time. Now, Kvapil crossed the finish line 0.343 seconds ahead of runner-up Roger Carruth, who's also fighting for a chase spot and staying alive in the chase side of things. Let's throw up the O'Reilly finish order here in this race. As I told you there, Carson Kvapil, Roger Carruth, 1-2 in this race. Carson Kvapil only led 9 laps in this race as well for him. William Saulwich finished 3rd. Ross Chastain, coming down from the Cup Series, he led 63 laps in this race and finished there in the 4th spot. Sheldon Creed in the 5th spot led 36 laps here in this race to finish in that 5th spot as well. Nick Sanchez, Taylor Gray, Dean Thompson, Harrison Burton in 9th. Brendan Poole there in the 10th spot for him. In terms of other playoff contenders that we're paying attention to, Austin Hill in the 11th spot. Kyle Sieg, well, we'll talk about where he is in the playoff hunt here coming up. He finished 12th in this race. Parker Resloff 13th. Brendan Jones 14th. Carson Brown 15th. My favorite young driver in this series, Brent Cruz, well, he's in that 16th spot here as well for him. If you notice, there's some big names we haven't mentioned yet in the playoff hunt. Anthony Alfredo trying to fight for a chase spot in 19th for him. That's looking at Sam Mayer, 21st in this race. Justin Allgaier, 24th, folks, for him here racing. And a lot of these guys, he led 83 laps in this race, by the way. Allgaier did. Again, big wreck there at the end there that kind of took a lot of these guys out of contention for them as well. Here, some bad luck there late. Ryan Sieg was 33rd. Here, Jesse Love, 35th. He did end up running. He only got 200 laps. 260 is what it ended up being with the 2 overtimes. The Jesse Love only got 200 laps in. Did finish the race, but Corey Day and Carson Ware, their accidents knocked them out of this race early here as well. 12 caution flags for 72 laps in this race. Now, just a quick note here, as you see the running order there, 3 junior motorsports drivers. Carson Kvapil, of course, who won it. Roger Carruth in the 2nd spot. And then Ross Chastain running for junior motorsports here on the O'Reilly Series. Well, they finished in the top 4. The 80th straight race, at least one junior motorsports driver has finished in the top 10. That breaks that tie there for the series record with RFK Racing. That they've been chasing that record, and they finally broke it. That was RFK did it back in 2008 to 2010 for a domination here on this circuit here for junior motorsports and that team with their drivers out there. Let's hope O'Reilly 2 here in the chase points that we're looking at. 1 race to go. Justin Allgaier, Carson Kvapil there in the 2nd spot now, but obviously Justin Allgaier's winning the regular season championship. Carson Kvapil in the 2nd spot, Sheldon Creed in the 3rd. Then you got Jesse Love, Corey Day, Brandon Jones, Austin Hill, Sammy Smith. They've all clinched bursts into the chase. Some of these will be position things they're racing for here now. Like, for instance, Brandon Jones, 718 points. Austin Hill, 716. Can those plot spots could switch? Absolutely. For guys that haven't clinched, I'll tell you right now, Parker Retzlaff, unless something disastrous happens in the final race coming up for them, the Parker Retzlaff will get into the chase here coming up. 46 points above the cut line. Everybody else is kind of a question mark. Sam Mayer with 19 points from the cut line. William Swalwich, 1 point up from the cut line. Brent Cruz, my favorite young driver, 1 point up from the cut line. That's right, folks. Taylor Gray, Raja Caruth, they have a fighting chance here to get and switch into this playoffs. Raja Caruth with his big run in this race as well, right? With his second place run, gets back into this conversation here. So we have 5 drivers vying for 3 spots here in the O'Reilly Series. 1 race to go. Couple weeks here coming up in Daytona. This is going to be a fun battle here and a great watch here for the O'Reilly Series as there are people are trying to qualify into that final spots there. There's not a lot of leeway here for Brent Cruz and Swalwich, Raja Caruth there as well, and Taylor Gray. You don't have much room to mess up here with this race to go. And at Daytona, drafting track, you never know what's going to happen, right? Well, the O'Reilly Series has an off week coming up. Then their next race is the final regular season, like I said, at Daytona. And some disasters can happen at Daytona, folks, coming that way. I'm excited for this final O'Reilly race to see who gets into the playoffs coming up. But we have to wait a week away to get into that. And the Cup Series race at Iowa Speedway as well. And only a couple times that they've been there. And it ended up being 2 Joe Gibbs Racing teammates battling it out for the victory when all things were said and done in the Cup Series. Well, and this came down to a pit call. I told you last week it's going to come down to who has the pit calls, who has the strategy that gets them to the front. Well, and this came down to that pit call. 2 tires was what the call was for Ty Gibbs, and he went ahead of his teammate there in pit road. Of course, Christopher Bell is who he passed on lap 290. Ty Gibbs kept Bell behind him the rest of the way after that call on pit road for the 2 tires. Strategy was the difference. Let's check out the final lap in this race at Iowa Speedway for the Cup Series, Cup 1.
This track is only 7/8 of a mile, and there's 1 lap left. 1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. Brad Keselowski there for Ty Gibbs to negotiate and Christopher Bell. It's going to come down to the final 2 turns and the run to the line. It was an epic moment at Bristol Motor Speedway earlier this year when Ty Gibbs finally got his first win. Forget that first. He's now got 2. Ty Gibbs wins in Iowa. That was phenomenal.
Great job. Way to go back today. Great job, team. Excellent work. Proud of you guys.
After that pit stop with the 2 tires that crashed Christopher Bell, I was just watching those laps dwindle down, and I was like, Christopher Bell's going to catch him. Christopher Bell's going to catch him. Christopher Bell's going to catch him, right? Christopher Bell never caught him there, folks. Ty Gibbs never made a mistake. He kept trying to get him to mess up so he could get by him, and it never happened. Hey, let's go to Ty Gibbs after the race. Cup 2, please.
You had to work for it today because you had the problem on pit road early on. You went back to 28th. At that moment when that happened, Ty, you were running 4th. What did you say to yourself?
Let's lock in, hammer down.
It just flat out says it. I mean, he did have to come back after that mistake earlier in the race. There at the end and holding his, I'm going to say, more experienced teammate in those situations to Bay and behind him. That was a fantastic finish. I was kind of joking around while watching it, saying, is Christopher Bell getting that thing in his ear saying, hey, don't pass him. Let him win this one. Kind of a funny thing I was thinking about it. That didn't happen, but I was kind of having some fun thinking about that conversation out there. And, for the 7th time this season, 4th time in the last 5 races, Christopher Bell has had to settle for 2nd place. Disappointing for him in 2nd place. Everybody else would be happy with it. Christopher Bell's tired of running in that 2nd spot. He led 108 laps in this race compared to Ty Gibbs' 20 laps, folks. Well, let's check into the disappointment here. Christopher Bell after the race, Cup 3.
This is what you call a bad 2nd place finish for sure. But I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Ty did a really good job. He did a great job managing the race. I could tell that he was slipping and sliding around, and similar to last week or 2 weeks ago with Corey Heim, he just didn't make a mistake. So P2.
there you have it. That's Christopher Bell.
You could tell his emotions, and he's tired of finishing second. We've heard him say that in the past of finishing second. But there he is again there, sitting in that second spot after the race. And man, and I keep picking him to get over the top, and he just hasn't been able to get over the top and get a victory here this season for Christopher Bell. At least multiple victories, right? That he's second place. You're right there. Hey, Ty Gibbs won, and if you know anything about Joe Gibbs Racing, it's a family affair out there. They caught up, the broadcast of USA caught up with Coach Gibbs after the race, after, his teammates battling it out, his two drivers, and then, of course, his grandson winning the race. Let's check in with USA Network here with Coach Gibbs after the race, Cup 4.
We are blessed. Just a great day for everybody. Heather, I need to get the mama in here because she's the biggest part of this. We wouldn't have Ty here. So anyway, just a thrill for all of us. Appreciate everybody that pulls for us, our fan base. We love coming here today. Packed house. Just a huge deal for us. God's blessed us with just great people. That's just what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great weekend for Joe Gibbs Racing overall. Denny Hamlin finished in the 5th spot. Chase Briscoe there in the 6th spot in that 19th car as well. So 1st, 2nd, 5th, and their 6 spots there for that whole team battling it out. No reason not to be happy for Joe Gibbs Racing. And, of course, Coach Gibbs is the leader of that team. That was Ty Gibbs' mother, if you didn't know. They're standing next to Coach as well. Throw up the finishing order, Cup 5 for me. Ty Gibbs, Christopher Bell, 1-2. Ryan Blaney, well, he led 129 laps in this race, finishing 3rd. Josh Berry sneaking up there and getting the 4th place finish. Denny Hamlin. Now, Joe Gibbs Racing in 2311 had some brake issues in the practices and qualifying and all of that stuff for the pre-race stuff. And Denny Hamlin wasn't very good with his brakes during the race, but he still gets that 5th place finish for him. Chase Briscoe in 6th, Ross Chastain in 7th, AJ Allmendinger in 8th, William Byron in 9th, Austin Dillon in 10th. Right? Didn't name a bunch of people here that are in the playoff hunt. Bubba Wallace, 12th. Chris Buescher, 13th here. Joey Logano, 14th. Chase Elliott, 15th in this race. Noah Gragson, some official news on him. We'll talk about in a little bit. Ends up in that 17th spot right there as well. But look, a lot of names in the playoffs we haven't mentioned. Daniel Suarez, 23rd here. Austin Hill, 26th. Michael McDowell, 25th. Brad Keselowski, 27th. Brad Keselowski's not going to make the chase here, folks. He's been trying to make up those points and kind of going the other direction for him. Austin Cindric, 29th. Shane Van Gisbergen needs good finishes to stay on the positive side. Well, a 3rd place oval finish here for him, or 30th place, place for him. We'll look at the standings in just a moment. Carson Hocever, 31st here for 31st place. Kyle Larson just continues to struggle at Iowa. 33rd finish for him, getting caught up in an accident with his teammate Alex Bowman during this race. Well, Kyle Larson was 33rd, Alex Bowman 34th as well. Eric Jones, who was trying to make up some points, he needed some perfect runs to get in the last spot of the chase. Well, he gets wiped out by Tyler Reddick in this race, in lap 4, by the way, folks. Eric Jones was 35th, and then Tyler Reddick 36th. Here in this race. So that effectively probably has ended Eric Jones's playoff run here as well. So just some quick notes. Ryan Blaney won the pole here, and he came home 3rd. He led the first 93 laps and won the first stage for him. Josh Berry, right, up here in the 4th spot for him. That's his first top 5 finish of the season as well. But the big impressive one for me, as I mentioned, was Denny Hamlin finishing 5th. With those brake problems he had to start at the rear because they had to fix the brake problems after the practices and all the pre-race stuff. That 5th place finish for Denny Hamlin was remarkable, and I love the way he's racing going into this weekend's racing. Well, at Richmond, we'll talk about that. And again, 3 laps down for Shane Van Gisbergen, running 30th. He spun earlier in that race, and going to affect how does it affect? Because he doesn't have much room here in the championship side to get into the chase coming up here. And I've already alluded to it and talked about it. Tyler Reddick repped on lap 4, took out Eric Jones. And Eric Jones needed some perfect racing. It was terrible to see. Throw up the championship points. We're going to start at the bottom here as well. That's right. Eric Jones with that wreck. That was not his fault at all. Tyler Reddick went up into the wall, took him out. Eric Jones has gone backwards in points at a time when he needs to go forward in them. Eric Jones is now in that 20th spot there, 50 points from the cut line, just for no fault of his own. And so we have this shakeup happening here. I will tell you this. I think we have the chase in now. I don't think the guys outside of the top 16, I don't think Ryan Preece, Ross Chastain, Brad Keselowski, and Eric Jones are going to be able to get into the chase with just 2 to 3 races remaining in the regular season. I think we have the top 16. I don't see a lot of play here. Ryan Preece can do it. 29 points is makeable. Ross Chastain can do it with a couple races remaining. If Austin Cindric or Shane Van Gisbergen continues to struggle, right, with 30-place finishes, I think they can. Can they do it? Yes. Are they? I just don't see it happening coming up here as well. But that's why we watch. That's why they race as well. So obviously Denny Hamlin, and we have the shakeup because Tyler Reddick, he's not going to catch Denny Hamlin for the regular season championship after his remarkable start to the season. Although he's clinched the chase spot, he's moved down to the 4th spot after another wreck here early in the race. Taking him out, he's down to the 4th spot, so his dreams of a regular season championship ended at Iowa Speedway. But Ty Gibbs moved up into that 2nd spot as well. And Ryan Blaney, they're in the 3rd spot, battling it out here. And I mean, it's going to be hard for either of them to do it. I'm pretty sure Denny Hamlin's winning the regular season championship at this point. But they've all clinched a spot. Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Carson Hocevar, Chris Buescher, Kyle Larson with 132 points above the cut line, and William Byron at 103 points. I think they're safe. They're going to make it, obviously, into the chase. I think there's not going to be much movement now. Now we're just down to seeding at this point. Daniel Suarez is probably safe as well. Even with he can have a bad finish and still get there. Joey Logano, Bubba Wallace, I think they're going to be safe, barring a disaster happening. Now, the guys that could move out, if Ryan Preece and Ross Chastain and Brad Keselowski can make some movements here, well, the guys that could get moved out would be Austin Cindric and SVG. So something to watch coming up here. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll be paying attention to it, to believe me here, going into these last few races in the regular season. Hey, that's the first race on the USA Network, and they earned a 1.929 million viewers for the Cup race there at the Iowa Corn 350. Yeah, that was a big number, but it was down 7% in rating, 11% in viewership from last year. The 2025 race there averaged 2.174 million viewers on the USA Network. So numbers down here as you move back, and we had that story last week. The streaming services, ratings up. The linear channels, TNT, Fox, ratings down for those services. And at least through one race here with the NBC networks there on USA Today, negative numbers here for them as well. Next up for the Cup Series, Richmond this weekend. Another short track, 3/4 mile track coming our way. We look ahead to Richmond later in the show as well. And after this break that we're about to take, we come back and we're going to talk news around the sport. We have the beginning part of the IndyCar schedule. We have more tracks releasing their schedules as well. Out there on the NASCAR circuit, nothing official from NASCAR in terms of the schedule. We just, tracks themselves are releasing this information. Got a lot of it for you. We'll get you updated. Then we're going to look ahead to racing this weekend. IndyCar up in Canada here outside of Toronto, and the NASCAR O'Reilly Series, the Truck Series and the Cup Series. Yeah, we got some night racing. Friday night action and Saturday night action for the Cup Series. We'll get you all ready for this weekend coming up, folks. Come on back. It's the Pit Stop. We're back here at the pit stop. Thank you for joining us here for this week's action. We just got done looking at Portland race for IndyCar and Iowa Raceway or Speedway there for the NASCAR O'Reilly and Cup Series. We're now going to look ahead to the news of racing and look ahead to this weekend's action in Canada for IndyCar and, of course, the Truck and Cup Series racing at Richmond here on Friday and Saturday nights coming up. Don't forget, you can catch our show on YouTube on demand. TME Media AZ is where you find all of our programming out there. TME Media is just our parent company over charge of all the shows and productions that we do here as a company. You can follow it at TME Media AZ on X as well. And while you're there, follow the Pit Stop Talk or just search the Pit Stop with Steven and it pops right up for you. Follow us there and join the conversations on X as well. Join us on demand here at the Pit Stop. All of our programming is there on YouTube, except for one show that we do. The Real Matrix is over on Rumble, and all of our shows are on demand at Rumble as well. Rumble.com/TME user/TME Media is where you can find it. If you just search, it pops up now as well. Just search the Pit Stop or the Real Matrix, and it does pop up for you over there. For you that prefer the audio podcast, just search the Pit Stop with Steven or the Pit Stop Talk on your favorite podcast system. Comes right up for you. Plenty of ways to have some fun with us here as we talk racing, as we're getting ready for playoff action to come up here. And the news around the sport, well, a lot of scheduling news. For instance, IndyCar, we know a little bit as they've released the beginning part of their schedule out there. Throw up the Indy schedule for me. May 7th, St. Pete, opening weekend for IndyCar. That will be in conjunction again with the NASCAR Truck Series there at St. Pete in Florida as well. Then they move to Phoenix. Again, an IndyCar, NASCAR doubleheader weekend, I guess we could say, with those two circuits meeting up again in Phoenix like they did this year, earlier this year in Phoenix. That's happening. Then the IndyCar boys and gals go to Arlington. Then the Barber race coming up here, Long Beach. Then the Indy Road Course as well. And then, of course, the Indianapolis 500 at the end of May. And then the staple Detroit after that. We have the beginning, phase one is what they're calling it, of the IndyCar 2027 schedule. They put that down, a nice little graphic for us. We're waiting for the rest of it to come out. You know, how many different, are we going back to Toronto like we're going this weekend? Washington, D.C. track we're 2 weeks away from that. Do we go back to D.C. or is that a one and done type of a race coming up, right? Arlington there and Dallas was a race this year. So a lot of question marks for the second half of that IndyCar season, and kind of have to hang out for that to happen. In terms of drivers out there, we told you before, Front Row Motorsports came out and said they expected Noah Gragson to return to the team for another year and into the future. Well, it's now official here this week as well. Noah Gragson will return to Front Row Motorsports in 2027. And, of course, he drives the number 4 Ford out there with his contract extension being official now as well. And with NASCAR going to Richmond this weekend, well, this week, NASCAR announced that next year's Richmond Raceway races will open the chase for both the Cup Series and the O'Reilly Auto Series as well. Chase racing here for Richmond starting next year. The O'Reilly parts will kick off the chase under the lights on Friday, September 10th. Then the Cup Series opener on Saturday night. Night racing here to open the playoffs. That'll be on September 11th of 2027. So we're seeing the Richmond race move from the end of the regular season to the beginning of the chase next year. We do have the Vegas dates out there as well. The Spring NASCAR weekend in Vegas will take place March 19th through the 21st. And then they return to Vegas October 8th through the 10th as well. The South Point 400 is the race that the Cup race that happens in October 10th. That's going to continue to serve as that big, important stop there in the NASCAR Chase Championship battle there in Las Vegas. We know NASCAR is going back to the WWTR, the Worldwide Technology Raceway, outside of St. Louis. It's going to open the final 3-race regular season stretch to set that 2027 Cup Series chase field. Yeah, that's when they're going there. Sunday, August 22nd next year for that race. Then you got Dover Motor Speedway announcing that Mid-May return to the Monster Mile in 2027. That's right. 400-mile points-paying race on Sunday, May 16th. Of the O'Reilly Series will be there that weekend as well on May 15th there at Dover. We know Darlington, well, it begins with the spring doubleheader weekend at Darlington, April 2nd through the 4th. All three NASCAR National Series will be there for that first feature in the springtime. NASCAR will then return to Darlington Raceway on Labor Day weekend. That's when only the O'Reilly and the Cup Series battle it out there. The O'Reilly Series will be September 4th. The Cup Series will close out the regular season in that Cookout Southern 500 there on Sunday, September 5th for the Cup Series. So Cup Series regular season ends at Darlington next year. Then North Wilkesboro Speedway, they're getting an uptick here, but they're getting an old staple back as well. Yeah, North Wilkesboro Speedway, well, May of 2027 is when they'll be back there as well. You know, it's a 5/8 mile oval, been around for a long time, was the all-star race for the Cup Series for a bunch of years, was a points-paying NASCAR race this year for the Cup Series. Well, it's going to host its first ever NASCAR triple header race weekend coming up in 2027. May 21st to the 23rd is when that's going to happen. Now, since they reopened North Wilkesboro Raceway, NASCAR, the Truck Series has been a part of the schedule there. And this year, 2027 at least, it'll be there May 21st on a Friday. Now, for the first time since 1985, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is going to compete at North Wilkesboro Raceway. That'll be on Saturday, May 22nd of 2027. Then the NASCAR Cup Boys go back to North Wilkesboro, and it becomes the All-Star race again there for that series. The winner's purse of $1 million will still be there, but North Wilkesboro becoming the All-Star race again after they went to Dover this year. Back to North Wilkesboro next year for that All-Star race. By the way, that $1 million, it's the largest single All-Star payout to an individual athlete in professional sports. The only difference is this year, Major League Baseball added the $1 million payday for the winner of the Home Run Derby for them. So it's tied there with the MLB Home Run Derby as well. So we're getting more and more of the schedule for us for NASCAR side of things, and some changes, right? End of the regular season changes, chase changes as well, at least the beginning part of it. It's going to be a different dynamic next year in 2027. And look, we still have racing going on, and racing this weekend coming up, and we'll start with the IndyCar racing this weekend. And they head to Ontario, Canada, just outside of Toronto here. The streets of Markham are having up for IndyCar this weekend. This will be the first of 40 IndyCar races held in the Toronto metro area. The first one, though, that is not held at the exhibition place where the last 39 have been held there. That's right. They're building a temporary track here. 2.1 mile track here outside of Toronto. 90 laps will be completed. 197.1 miles coming your way for IndyCar this weekend. What's the track layout for this temporary track that they're filling? Because it's a different track than the exhibition place that they've raced at all these other years. Throw up the track racing track here for me, and you see the turns and the layout of this track, folks. Yeah, Markham is using this new 12 turn, 2.19 mile street circuit here. Turn 5, well, the key part to Sunday's 90 lap race. Well, because it's complex, very complex, but also it's kind of like Long Beach's iconic hairpin there as well. And then it sets you up for your longest stretch of competitive real estate in the uphill turn into turn 6 out there, folks. That's right. That's that turn that you see on your left-hand side of your screen. You go out, do that hairpin turn around the outside, and then back in to make that on turn 6 coming up. That's an interesting turn coming up with some action should happen leading into that turn and then, of course, out of it as well. Drivers likely will consider that the best passing opportunity with that turn 5 area. The long sweeping sprint to turn 10, well, it could be another hot spot for action. That's down at the bottom of your screen if you look at it. Well, it's a quick left for the 25 drivers that'll be racing in this. And then they got to decide whether to pit or continue on the racetrack there out of turn 10 as well. Pit Road features something that I really enjoy that IndyCar does, a double-sided service area. We see that in Detroit. Detroit's had that since 2023, and I really, really like the double pit side of things here on this racetrack. Unknown because nobody's raced this racetrack before. First time the IndyCar guys will be on it will be for practice and those runs coming up here. It's going to be a fun little race, and Saturday qualifying 2:25 p.m. Eastern time, 11:25 a.m. out here on the left coast for those of us out here. Now the race will be at 12 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. 9 a.m. out here in the West Coast. Roll out of bed and catch some IndyCar racing on this new circuit that certainly they've laid it out in a format that this is going to get interesting out there. Now, there's no secret who the favorite is this weekend. We know who it is. He's on his way to win his record-tying 4th consecutive season title, and it'll be his 5th season title also. Of course, we're talking about Alex Palou out there. Nobody else to talk about here in these races. Well, he run the past 2 races. He's working on 4 consecutive top 5 finishes as well. So even if he doesn't win, he's finishing in top 5s and keeping the points number up there as well. You see, you saw earlier, he's up 110 points over Kyle Kirkwood there in that second spot. Now, Alex Palou has led 35.4% of the races in that stretch. 170 of 480 laps is what he's led. 3 of those races were on permanent road courses. This is a temporary one, so there's a little intrigue on who will win the championship left. Palou can't actually secure his latest championship this weekend. 12 drivers are technically still mathematically in contention for the Astor Challenge Cup in the Indy circuit. Now, the problem is he owes a 110-point lead. His nearest competitor, is right behind him there with meaning that is Kyle Kirkwood, and no driver can make up that many points in one race here either. So the question is, can Kyle Kirkwood get out there, and can Kyle Kirkwood keep this and make this a little bit better of a race course here going forward? Now, the problem is Alex Palou ran away with the championship last year. Yeah. And now Alex Palou, with running a different season this year, he had some troubles this year. Did not lead the standings there after Phoenix, second race of the year earlier this year. But Alex Palou is 11 points higher with his lead over second place Kyle Kirkwood than he led last year at this point. He's actually having a more dominant point season than last year, folks. Yeah. So obviously Alex Palou is the favorite to win this weekend. Unknown track on this racetrack, new to everybody. And by the way, next weekend's DC as well. So we have the same situation next weekend in IndyCar racing. But who to watch this weekend? If you want to see some intrigue, obviously Kyle Kirkwood is the guy in that second place. You want to watch for him, kind of take over the points here, win this race, and make the balance, that 110-point difference between him and the leader, make that a little bit closer here moving forward. But Kyle Kirkwood's 5 of his 6 wins in this series, including 1 this season, well, they've come at temporary street circuits, like the one this weekend, like the one next weekend in Washington, D.C. He's got a good chance to win this race. The bigger issue for Kirkwood, though, is Palou has not only won this year's 4 street races, that would be St. Petersburg, Long Beach, and Detroit. Palou has won those ones. But when he doesn't win, as I told you, he finishes second. And that doesn't get you much point differential when he's still finishing second, which he did do at Arlington in that temporary street course. The most points any driver can gain on Palou in a given event, if they're perfect, is 49 points. You have to run a perfect race, and you'll cut it almost to half. Yeah, so this deficit that Kyle Kirkwood has to that lead, well, it's equivalent of more than 2 races to catch it. And it's 2 perfect races with Alex Palou messing up, and you only have 5 races to get up there and catch him. Alex Palou's winning this championship. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. Now, others in the field, they've won up there in Toronto. Well, at the old track, at least, they've won it there. So that kind of, do you take any consideration? Scott Dixon, Will Power, Josef Newgarden. They've won multiple times up there in Toronto, outside of Toronto. Power won the Champ Car race in 2007. He took the 2010 victory under the banner of Unified Sport at that time. Yeah. Dixon swept the doubleheader back in 2013. He won again in 2018. He won also in 2022. Newgarden, Joseph, he took victories in 2015 and 2017. Christian Lundgaard, 2023. Pato O'Ward won this race last year. Those are the active drivers to have won up in Toronto. Problem is, it was the old exhibition place racetrack. This is an all-new track here coming up at the temporary side. Do you put some faith that those guys can win on this temporary track? That's the question you've got going into this weekend. Pato O'Ward, he's produced top 5 finishes in each of his 4 races. A 4th place finish and a 3 5th place finishes for him. I told you earlier, he finally got into that win column. He was running well, just getting on the podium or just outside the podium and not being able to get over that hill. He got the 1 win earlier this year and not been able to bunch up again. Competitive balance is high in IndyCar. The problem is you have one guy that's just a step above of everyone, and being Alex Palou. Palou, Cookwood, and O'Ward, they've accounted for 12 of the 20 top 5 finishing positions on this year's street circuits. 7 drivers have taken the other 8 spots. So there is uncertainty. There is guys and parity in this racetrack. Again, the problem is Alex Palou wins or finishes high up in these races. So this is pretty simple in what the statistics tell us going into this unknown race on this new temporary track. And being in Canada. There's new circuit on tap each of the next 2 weeks. It's anyone's guess who will be in the top 5 finishers coming up here. You have to lean on Alex Palou because he dominates, right, on this deal. But I'm going to go with the 2nd place guy in championship points for the win this weekend. I'm going with Kyle Kirkwood. The reason why is, 1, he can win this race, obviously, with it is. So can Pato O'Ward. I think he's got a good shot this weekend. Christian Lundgaard has a shot this weekend. But the reason why I'm going to go with Kyle Kirkwood, and Alex Palou's too easy of a pick. I don't like to pick the guy that kind of dominates. I'm going with Kyle Kirkwood because I would like to see the championship not be awarded for as long as possible. Let's extend this out a little bit. Kyle Kirkwood battle for Alex Palou, try to get closer in the points and keep the championship from being awarded before as close as possible to the end of season. I don't want to see the last 4 races be not competitive and not fun to watch because you know who the championship winner officially is out there. So I'm going Kyle Kirkwood for the IndyCar side of things. And now we go to NASCAR this weekend in Richmond. Pretty simple. 3/4 mile asphalt oval. D-shaped oval, no less. 0.7 miles is what you're going to get this weekend on the asphalt. And the Truck Series gets underway on Friday here. The NASCAR Truck Series is back to racing after a couple weeks off. It's going to race IndyCar. Lucas Oil Indy was the last place that they raced at. And they're getting underway at Richmond this weekend. Now, since the Truck Series has been off since the Indianapolis weekend, well, let's remind you of the championship points going into this race. This would be the Truck Ahead championship points, if we can have that up for me. Yep, Lane Riggs clinched the playoffs chase spot here as well, and he's 100 points above Caden Honeycutt there in the 2nd spot, who's also clinched a chase spot for him. Chandler Smith in the 3rd, and Christian Eckes there in the 4th spot, all clinching chase spots for them. Gio Ruggiero, of course, clinched at Lucas Oil as well. So he's clinched his playoff spot. That leaves Ty Majeski, 81 points from the cut line. Then Ben Rhodes, 43 points. Those guys, I think, are going to be safe going into the playoffs here with not many races remaining here for them out there. Grant Effinger, 26 points from the cut line. He's probably safe, but he's got to run well in order to clinch this to get into the playoffs up here. Daniel Hemrick and Stuart Friesen, they're the ones that are most at threat to get flipped here coming up, with Tyler Ankrum 8 points outside the bubble looking in. Jake Garcia, Andres Perez de Lara, 42 points out. Brendan Queen, 43 points out. Justin Haley, 59 points out. I think at most we have 4 drivers battling for those last 2 playoff spots. And even then, I'm not sure we have that, but we definitely have 3 battling for those final 2 spots. Tyler Ankrum, 8 points out with Stuart Friesen. Can Tyler Ankrum get into the other side? So I'm definitely sure 3 drivers for 2 spots. It possibly could be 4 with Jake Garcia, but he needs a big run this weekend here as well for him. Going into this a race coming up. 2 races remaining with this weekend for the Truck Series. Richmond Raceway, Friday night is when we're getting the action, 7:30 p.m. Eastern at Richmond for the Truck Series, which means 4:30 p.m. here on the West Coast for those of you watching. Obviously, the Truck Series always on FS1 as well. Practice is Friday coming up, 1 p.m. Eastern time, which means 10 a.m. here on the West Coast, FS2 always gives us this information. Qualifying is also on Friday, 2:05 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. on FS2 on Friday coming up. Corey Heim, SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, Christopher Bell, all coming down from the Cup Series to race in this Truck Series race at Richmond. So who can win on this 3/4 mile track after a layoff here as well? Who's coming in refreshed and ready to battle it out and solidify their place in the chase? Well, the usual suspects are in play for these short tracks out there. I know on the Cup Series sides, it's going to come down to tire wear, aggressiveness in these tight quarters. And I think that's the same thing on the Truck Series coming up. And Lane Riggs is the leader in these types of races. Lane Riggs is the favorite going into this race. Lane Riggs, can he show up and dominate like he did at Lucas Oil over there in Indianapolis last time this series was on the track? Can Ty Majeski, Chandler Smith, Caden Honeycutt, do they have the ability to get the checkered flag in first with the tight quarters you're racing in? Aggressiveness is needed. Tire wear, strategies. Well, a long shot to me is going to be Stuart Friesen, and he needs a win, right, to keep up and stay on the inside here of the bubble for the chase for the Truck Series. And my long shot is going to be Stuart Friesen getting that win. Now, after the break in racing for the Truck Series, it's hard not to look into the crystal ball and see Lane Riggs capturing the victory at Richmond on Friday night. It's very hard to not see it. I just don't see anybody else. And I'm going to go a step farther and say Lane Riggs, if his car's on point and his team runs like they should, Lane Riggs is going to run away with this race again this weekend here with this short circuit. My long shot, Stuart Friesen coming up, but Lane Riggs, I think, is going to continue that dominating side of things as well. The O'Reilly Series for NASCAR is off this weekend. They don't return to action until August 28th at Daytona for their last race before the regular season. So we got to look ahead to the Cup Series under the lights here at Richmond on Saturday night. Another short track coming up here, and managing tire wear in the race is going to be the key factor to victory in the D-shaped 3/4 mile oval here at Richmond. It's, to me, tire wear and managing that with productions and late pit stops, 2 tires, 4 tires. That's the key here coming up. The drivers are going to be racing in tight conditions. You're going to have to be aggressive in those tight conditions, which will take out half of this field because they can't be aggressive in these tight conditions that they'll be racing in this weekend at Richmond. There's a specialty here in this racetrack that only a few drivers specialize at. That's right. And it's going to be fun to watch in this battle. And these short races, it's just, you've seen it, right? Ty Gibbs last week kind of was the surprise getting out there in front of Christopher Bell. But it's going to be similar guys out there in the front. Saturday, racing at Richmond. 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. out here for us in the left coast. Saturday night racing. USA has the coverage for the rest of the season. For the Truck Series, practice and qualifying, well, Friday, 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 to 2:30 out here for those of us, on the left side of the world. True TV will get you practice and qualifying. The statistics, well, they point to who the race winner will probably be, and it's Denley Hamlin's home track, folks. And he had that brake issue last week, and hopefully they have that solved going into this race here this weekend. Well, of the active drivers, Denny Hamlin leads with 5 wins here at Richmond. 2024, 2022. Then you got to go back to before 2020, 2016, 2010, and 2009 here at Richmond for Denny Hamlin and Joe Gibbs Racing. Austin Dillon has 2 wins here, 24 and 25, folks. Austin Dillon's an interesting case to pay attention to here at this August race at Richmond. Kyle Larson does have 2 wins here, 23 in 2017. His 2 wins, Brad Keselowski, you got to go all the way back to 2020, and before that in 2014 for his 2 wins. Even Joey Logano has 2 wins here, but you got to go back to even earlier than that, 2014 and 2017 for Joey Logano to get a win. Alex Bowman won here in 2021. Chris Buescher won here in 2023. And that's a phenomenal year that Chris Buescher had in terms of a NASCAR team and driver out there. So just those stats right there, that should surprise no one. Denny Hamlin leads all active Cup drivers in win at Richmond. 5 victories, as I just got done telling you. It's hard. I like the way Denny Hamlin runs. He would have won that race last week if he didn't have the brace problems that had to start last and had to baby his car throughout that race. Denny Hamlin excels at short track racing. He's on the run. This is his home track in Richmond. My pick is Denny Hamlin to win this race at Richmond this weekend. You just can't ignore how well he races at this track. But here's the question. I'm going Denny Hamlin. I don't like to pick the favorites in these situations, but Denny Hamlin hasn't been dominant. He's won his races and been good, but this racetrack you have to go with him on. The question that I got for you, though, is does the 2024 and 2025 August winner here at this racetrack, Austin Dillon, does he have a chance to win this weekend for a 3rd time in August? It's a late race pass for the lead if he does win it. How do I know? August of 2025, last year, Austin Dillon passed Brad Keselowski on lap 351, which is about 49 laps to go to get the win in 2025 in August. If you want to go back the year before that, in August of 2024, Austin Dillon passed Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin. That was on lap 408, 1 lap to go to win. Austin Dillon, pay attention to where Austin Dillon is on this racetrack. If he's anywhere close to the lead when you get under 50 laps to go, pay attention. He could sneak up there and get another victory here at Richmond, and a late victory at that. Kind of a long shot, but something to pay attention to. What about Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney, right? The Penske Ford fellas. I give them a shot to be there at the end, especially Blaney here in this race. Joey Logano, he's shown, right? I just told you there. And he's won this race recently. Blaney. I think they got a shot. They run these competitively. Joey Logano, you just got to question if he's going to get mixed up into something to keep him in that front. But definitely look for Ryan Blaney to be competitive and maybe get the win here at Richmond. Christopher Bell, second place finishes left and right. Short track again. Christopher Bell absolutely has a chance to win this race. I would pick Christopher Bell. I'm just going to be honest with you guys and gals. I'm tired of picking Christopher Bell and having him finish second. I'm just tired of it. I need a break from it. I keep picking him in races, and he gets there and gets second place finishes. Maybe I'm the curse. Maybe Christopher Bell can get to the victory lane if I don't pick him this weekend to win. So I'm going to go on that. I'm expecting a fast, a competitive, a tightly raced racetrack on Saturday night under the lights. I'm expecting this race to come down to a pit decision like it did last weekend. Like Ty Gibbs took 2 tires and Christopher Bell took 4 and never could look back. I'm expecting that type of a finish here coming up on this 3/4 mile asphalt D-shaped oval. And D-shaped just means backstretch is a straight line and the front stretch has that big D front, the big rounded front on the inside. It's going to be a fun battle here coming up this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Here coming up at Richmond, and then we're just going to get more clarity going into the chase as well. Come back and join us next week here on the Pit Stop. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube or Rumble channel, TME Media AZ on YouTube or on the Rumble side. Don't forget to follow us on X as well, the Pit Stop Talk. Also, don't forget TME Media AZ, folks. I'm so excited for this weekend in racing. Have a great racing weekend. We'll see you next week, everybody.